I'm chatting with State Senator Eliot Shapleigh. So you're here today to support Bill White.
Bill White's phenomenal. He has been the mayor of Houston for many years. The most popular mayor in Houston history. Lowered property tax rates 5 different occasions. Delivers effective government. When Katrina happened, he brought 230,000 people from New Orleans into his city. He housed them. Many of them stayed there because they liked it better there. So if you look at a guy who can get things done, who's been effective, who brings people together, this is the guy. And he's a guy who can win.
And I noticed that just about every senior elected official in the town and community leaders are all backing Bill White. Is that one of the first times that we've had that much leadership behind a statewide candidate?
I think there's a real thirst now. We've had over a decade of the dark ages under Bush and Perry. Texas is first in dropouts, last in the insured. We're the most polluted state in the country. We've got the highest homeowners insurance rates. We've got utility rates that are out of control across the state. He's a guy that can fix that. And so Democrats, I think, are coming together to say, let's take back the governor's mansion, take back Texas, because having seen what division's done over the years, he is a candidate that we need to come behind and elect.
So let's take it out of the realm of the Democratic Party. Let's talk about statewide. What does appeal like statewide, and how does he end up becoming governor of Texas?
Well, you've got any Democrat running's got to put together an urban strategy and a Hispanic Texas strategy, frankly. When you go look at the votes, go back to March of 2008, when you had the primary fight, you had 2 very dynamic Democratic candidates. That's the first time there's been any money or infrastructure on the streets for the Democratic side since 1993. And so you saw lines at the precincts. You saw people arguing and debating about who's the best candidate. If you look at the turnout that we had in March of 2008, that is a turnout that would have won the governor's mansion going away. Would have been elected if we could have that same turnout statewide in November. What happens is March, all the fight in El Paso goes away. In November, everyone doesn't remember there's an election going on, and all of a sudden we don't turn out like we need to turn out. So the key is turnout. The key is getting in the 45-46% turnout range in El Paso, Cameron County, San Antonio, Austin, these urban areas that can elect Bill White, but really the future rests on his shoulders. You can't have skyrocketing tuition, skyrocketing property taxes, insurance rates that are out of control in different parts of the state, and at some point we got to take back the legislature from the special interests that frankly just have the run of the place. You walk in there, as soon as the legislature leaves, the lobby runs the government. That's been happening for years.
What part of Mayor White's agenda or campaign strategy appeals towards middle-of-the-road voters?
Well, I mean, look at the guy's popularity. In Houston, Texas, he has an 80% popularity rating. In his last election, he got 90% of the vote. Many of those were crossover Republicans. If you ask them, what did you like about Bill White, they'd say he lowered property tax rates 5 years in a row in Houston. He got the streets paved, he made sure the trash was picked up, and he fought to clean up the skies of Houston. In Houston, that's a big issue, more than any other mayor in the history of Houston. And oh, by the way, he had a tri-share program for health care. Republicans looking at his record say that's a record of a effective, compassionate person who knows how to govern. That guy can do it.
So let's talk about your plans. I mean, you've announced that you're no longer going to seek re-election. That opens it up for former County Attorney Jose Rodriguez. Any plans for you yet on what you want to do with your political future?
I'm talking to a lot of folks. There was talk early on of maybe making this run, but when Bill White got in it, there's no question he's the best candidate that we've got. There's a lot of options if you're coming from El Paso, Texas, and good things to do. In my family, public service has always been the highest calling, and so the idea is let me see where I can serve, where I can make a difference. What I do know is can't go down to Austin, work on good legislation, and watch Rick Perry veto it 7 sessions in a row. I mean, I have bills that came out with every vote in the Senate, every vote in the House, and here this guy would veto it. At some point, you got to veto him. I think that's the important part this election cycle.
And we're at a Democratic Party function, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about Jay Kleber. When you were on the Paul Strelzin show, you referred to yourself as a Democrat of all Democrats, and then proceeded to talk up Jay Kleber, who's a Republican running against one of your colleagues in the House. Are you going to support Kleber, or are you going to support your colleague?
Well, I think you know, Jaime, and you know better than even ask that question. question. My allegiance is a Democrat.
Okay.
I am 100% behind Joe Moody. And my point on the Paul Strelzin show is to say this. For too often in this community, the choices have been incompetent versus corrupt. And we can do better than that. We can have much better politics. And the fact that a kid like Clayburgh, who's not from here, who has choices going anywhere in the world, chooses to run for office is a good thing. He's in a hell of a fight right now in his own primary. And the fact that Joe Moody and Clayburgh will duel, that they'll have to get organizations out there, that they'll have to fight in the arena of ideas, that they'll have to look out for renewable energy, they'll have to talk about a better UTEP, that's good for El Paso. Competitive politics is good for El Paso. Having said that, let me say this. We're going to go make sure Joe Moody wins because we cannot afford to lose that seat. And we sure can't afford to have DeMargo anywhere around Austin, Texas. So that's it's just an important thing to talk about competitive politics. When you walk into Austin, Texas, and there's a city council race, there'll be 6 people running for that seat. One will have a PhD in economics, one will be a longtime activist, another one will be from the university. The point is, good people running for office is a good thing. It produces better institutions. It produces better politics. You have better honing of the issues and people know more. And it brings people to the polls. They're not sitting on the sideline because they're looking out and saying, I like what that candidate's saying. I'm going to go help him out. So having a guy like Clayburgh and a guy like Moody fight in that seat is a good thing for El Paso. Joe Moody's got to win that seat.
So last question. There's been some discussion more and more loudly about Beto O'Rourke considering a run for Congress. Your thoughts on that race?
Well, again, I think competitive politics is good, and I'm not sure he's made his decision yet. I read the paper the same as you did this morning. I think he's looking at a lot of options and so forth. That's an uphill race. Anyone that's in politics knows that. But competitive politics is a good thing. He brings a lot of issues to the table. He knows a lot about city politics. Frankly, we've got to do much, much more on the horizon with Mexico. When you look at what's defining this community, the violence in Juarez has a tremendous negative effect on this community, and to vet that issue, debate that issue is a good thing. It's a good thing for El Paso. It's a good thing for the state of Texas. And frankly, the United States government has to get involved in what's happening with Mexico far more than they have.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Good job.
Thank you.